Let's jump right into it. Number 10. When you say something is the bee's knees, you're actually using 1920s nonsense that was supposed to be meaningless. Picture this. Flappers and speakeasies thought it was hilarious to combine random animal body parts into compliments. They also said cat's pajamas and elephant's eyebrows. The whole point was that bees don't even have knees. They have joints, sure, but calling them knees is like calling your elbow a shoulder blade. What started as intentional absurdity somehow became our go-to phrase for excellent. It's like if we started saying the hamster's wallet, and suddenly everyone was using it seriously 50 years later. Number 9. Spill the beans comes from ancient Greek democracy, and it's way more dramatic than you think. When Greeks voted on important matters, they used beans instead of paper ballots. White beans meant yes, black beans meant no. The whole system depended on keeping those votes secret until the official count. But sometimes, someone would accidentally knock over the jar, literally spilling the beans and revealing everyone's votes before the ceremony was supposed to end. Imagine if our modern elections worked this way, one clumsy moment, and suddenly everyone knows how their neighbors voted before polls even closed. The Greeks took this so seriously that spilling the beans could completely invalidate an election. Number 8. Deadline originally meant you'd actually die if you crossed a line, and we're talking about Civil War prisoner camps here. At places like Andersonville Prison, guards drew literal lines in the dirt around the camp perimeter. Step over that line and guards had orders to shoot you dead on the spot, no warnings, no second chances. Prisoners called it the dead line because crossing it meant instant death. Think about how casually we use this word now for homework and project due dates. We've taken a term that meant immediate execution and turned it into something that just makes us mildly stressed about missing a meeting. The irony is almost perfect. Instead of dying for crossing a line, we just get fired or get a bad grade. Number 7. Mind your P's and Q's has nothing to do with the alphabet and everything to do with not getting kicked out of taverns. In old English pubs, bartenders kept track of drinks on a chalkboard. P stood for pints, Q stood for quarts. Your tab was literally written in P's and Q's behind the bar. If you wanted to avoid overpaying or getting cut off, you had to mind your P's and Q's. Basically, watch your drink count before you made a fool of yourself. Picture trying to keep track of your tab when you're already 3 pints deep and the bartender's chalk marks look like ancient hieroglyphics. This phrase meant the difference between a fun night out and waking up broke and banned from your favorite drinking spot. Number 6. Bite the bullet comes from battlefield surgery before anesthesia existed, and it's absolutely brutal. When soldiers needed emergency operations, doctors literally gave them bullets to bite down on to prevent them from screaming or biting their tongues off from pain. Lead bullets were soft enough that you could bite into them without breaking your teeth, but hard enough to give you something to focus on while a surgeon sawed through your leg with no painkillers. The bullet marks from soldiers' teeth became proof of how much agony they'd endured. Modern dentists use the phrase casually about minor procedures, but the original meaning involved willingly accepting the most excruciating pain imaginable to save your life. Number 5. Sleep tight has absolutely nothing to do with being snug and everything to do with mattress maintenance. Before box springs existed, people slept on rope beds, literally ropes stretched across a wooden frame with a mattress on top. Over time, these ropes would loosen and sag, making the bed uncomfortable and lumpy. To sleep well, you had to regularly tighten the ropes using special tools, literally making your bed tight. Saying sleep tight was practical advice about bed maintenance, not a cute way to say goodnight. Imagine having to tune your bed like a guitar every few weeks or else you'd roll into the middle every night. What we think is a sweet bedtime wish was actually a reminder to do your household chores or suffer the consequences of a saggy, uncomfortable bed. Number 4. Rule of thumb comes from an old English law that's way darker than you'd expect, and it shows how language can sanitize horrible history. The phrase supposedly comes from a law that said a man could beat his wife with a stick as long as it wasn't thicker than his thumb. Whether this law actually existed is debated by historians, but people believed it did, and the phrase stuck around. We use rule of thumb to mean a rough guideline or practical principle, completely disconnected from its alleged origins in domestic violence. Like how we say grandfathered in, without thinking about voting laws designed to exclude people, or sold down the river without connecting it to slavery. Language has this weird ability to take phrases with terrible origins and turn them into innocent, everyday expressions. Number 3, mad as a hatter isn't random nonsense. It's an occupational hazard that drove people literally insane. Hat makers in the 1800s used mercury to treat felt, and working with mercury every day for years caused actual mercury poisoning. The symptoms included tremors, slurred speech, memory loss, and severe mood swings. Basically, hatters really did go mad from their job. Mercury poisoning affects your nervous system so severely that hatters would shake uncontrollably, speak incoherently, and behave erratically. Everyone knew that if you worked making hats long enough, you'd eventually lose your mind from the chemicals. Alice in Wonderland didn't create this phrase. Lewis Carroll was referencing a real phenomenon that everyone understood. The Mad Hatter character was basically workplace injury personified, which makes those Tea Party scenes a lot darker when you think about it. Number 2. Butter someone up comes from an ancient Indian religious practice that's completely different from our modern meaning. In old Hindu customs, people would throw balls of butter at statues of gods to seek favor and blessings. The idea was that if you literally buttered up the deity's statue, they'd be more likely to grant your prayers and wishes. Covering religious statues in butter was considered one of the best ways to get divine attention and approval. Think about how we've transformed this. Instead of throwing dairy products at religious figures, we use fake compliments and excessive praise to get what we want from people. The physical act of coating something in butter became a metaphor for coating someone in praise. We've kept the manipulation aspect but lost the religious ritual entirely. Number 1. The whole 9 yards has been driving etymology experts crazy for decades because nobody can agree on where it came from, and the competing theories are wildly different. Some say it's about the length of ammunition belts in World War II fighter planes. When pilots used the whole 9 yards of bullets, they'd emptied everything they had. Others claim it's about concrete trucks that hold exactly 9 cubic yards of concrete. Ordering the whole 9 yards meant filling up your entire project. Another theory says it comes from sailing ships where the main mast required exactly 9 yards of fabric for full sail. But here's the thing that makes this phrase absolutely maddening for language experts. Nobody can find written evidence of any of these origins, and the phrase doesn't appear in print until the 1960s. For something so common, its history is completely mysterious. It's like finding a word everyone uses, but discovering it has no traceable past, which might be the most frustrating thing possible for people who study language for a living. I'll make similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.